Greetings and welcome to the channel. My name is Dr. Narcissistic transformational coach and inner mileage, where we help folks heal, optimize, and overcome themselves so they can live their best resonant lives right here, right now. Today we're diving into a topic that affects each of us in ways we may not fully recognize: manipulation and programming, and the ways our minds are shaped without us knowing it, whether it's through narcissistic abuse or something similar. And I want us to explore these mechanics, how it takes a hold of us, how it operates on a collective level, an individual level, and how we can break free. You see, understanding how manipulation works isn't just about spotting the bad guys or labeling the narcissists around us. It's about learning to reclaim our own inner sovereignty. As empaths, as highly sensitive souls, we are often the ones affected the most by external influences. And we absorb energies, take on roles, and sometimes without realizing it, fall into patterns that don't serve us. But we don't have to live in this cycle. We can learn, we can grow, and break free. And today, I'll walk you through the types of minds susceptible to manipulation, the tactics narcissists, bullies, and manipulators use, whether it's your parents, or your lover, your friends, or whoever, and how society enforces certain narratives to keep us programmed. And finally, how to share these influences and step into the fullness of who you are. So let's start by looking at the types of mind that are most susceptible to manipulation by a narcissist, a bully, or someone similar. And everyone gets manipulated, or every single one of us. What makes someone easier to manipulate, and why do certain people fall victim to manipulation again and again? These are the questions we need to answer if we're going to get to the root of mental programming and narcissistic abuse. So first, when we talk about susceptibility, it often begins with our fundamental need for approval. Think about it. As children, many of us were conditioned to seek validation, to please our parents, our teachers, and our friends. And some of us may have grown up feeling unseen because of that, unheard, or even unworthy. And these kinds of early experiences leave imprints, leave a mark. And for those of us who carry unresolved trauma, or may have inner fear of rejection, or often struggle with boundaries, that's what happens because you want to please. For example, empaths, a very a category of people that's close to my heart. If you're an empath, you understand this. Often have an intense desire to connect and understand others. But without strong boundaries, this openness can make empaths vulnerable. It's like having an unlocked door in a neighborhood filled with people who might not have your best interests at heart. Why would you do that? And if you think about people pleasing, it can seem harmless, even virtuous. But it can also be a doorway for manipulators to exert control. People pleasers often give up their own needs to make others comfortable, which is the first step towards self-abandonment. And I did that for a very, very long time. So we'll go now into the mechanics of manipulation and programming. Manipulation isn't obvious. That's why it works. It's subtle, it's insidious, and it often operates in the shadows. And one of the most common techniques used by manipulators is gaslighting, where the manipulator distorts reality, making you question your own memory, perception, and even your sanity. And I'm sure many of you have heard the term, but let me explain it in a way that truly reveals the harm it causes. So, gaslighting is a gradual erasure of your sense of self. Gradual. Over time, and this is hard to believe, you start to doubt everything you thought you knew about yourself. And the manipulator, or the narcissist, or the bully, becomes your reference point for reality. Think about how terrifying that is. Then there's also love bombing. It's that overwhelming affection and attention that comes on so strongly, particularly in the beginning, or when the narcissist sense you're shifting away from their locus of control or influence. So what happens with love bombing is the narcissist, the bullies and such, make you feel seen, cherished, and adored until they don't. And remember, this is your wound because you grew up not feeling seen, cherished, or adored, right? To drive connection. So the narcissist gives you enough to hook you, then starts to pull away, keeping you chasing the high of their validation. It's intentional. And let's not forget guilt tripping. This is a favorite among manipulators because it appeals to your empathy. Example, if you cared, you do this for me. After all I've done for you and you're not doing this. These phrases are designed to make you feel indebted and to make you compromise your own peace. And these tactics repeated over time start to form a mental loop. And over time, you begin to expect this behavior, even believe that you deserve it. And this is where the conditioning sets in as one of the most powerful ways narcissists maintain control. So if you're subject to this or experiencing this or you're not sure what it is, talk to a licensed mental health professional, a certified coach like myself, who can help you navigate through this so you can achieve the things you want to achieve and overcome this limiting self-beliefs. So how does someone become programmed? How does conditioning transform into something that feels inescapable? Well, firstly, it begins subtly. The manipulator may start by grooming you, gradually reshaping your beliefs and reactions to align with their agenda. And this would be a malignant or a covert person, right? So it doesn't matter how they come across, but this is the tactic that they're using. And this tactic is used with a lot of intelligence. It's important that you don't underrate the genius and the intelligence of bullies and narcissists. So what begins is the manipulator starts grooming you, reshaping you, and it might look like they're rewarding your behavior in a way that serves them and punishing you or ignoring behaviors that don't serve them. Then it progresses to reinforcement. In other words, they repeat these cycles over and over and over and over again. And soon enough, the manipulation becomes second nature, and the beliefs they fed you start to feel like they're your own. And you internalize them, and they're no longer just ideas, but your truth. Now, here's where the object of programming comes in. Because manipulators want to control you, it's that simple. And for some, it's a deeply narcissistic need to feel powerful. For others, it's a way to maintain a certain order, to keep you small, dependent, and compliant. But for all manipulators, it's about making you a tool for their own gain, for their own narcissistic supply. So when you think about collective narcissism, it isn't just about individuals. It's about groups that operate with an inflated sense of self-importance, just like the individual narcissist or the narcissistic family. Think about societies or institutions that demand loyalty, that breed division, the us and them mentalities. And collective narcissism fuels prejudice, entitlement, and sometimes even violence. And when individuals are programmed on a massive scale, they become soldiers in the narcissistic agenda of the collective. And when you multiply this behavior across millions, you get a society that normalizes narcissistic abuse on a grand scale. Now, why is this apparent today? Social media for one, success culture, hustle culture, and the hyper-focus on me over we contribute to a world where empathy and humility are largely overshadowed by individualism. And there are good parts of individualism, there's no doubt about it. And collectivism also breeds narcissistic obligation and abuse. So how do we break free from this and how do we unprogram ourselves? The first step is to recognize the patterns. Look closely at the people in your life, the media you consume, and even the beliefs you hold. And then start asking yourself, whose voice am I really hearing? Is it mine? Is it an echo chamber? And if it's not your own, you may be under the influence of someone else's agenda. Then comes self-reflection and mindfulness. This isn't just about sitting down and meditating, though those are powerful tools. It's about becoming the observer of yourself. Like Judy Krishnamurti says, the observer becomes the observed. Watch your thoughts, listen to them, and learn which ones are authentically yours and which ones were placed there by someone else. This is sort of borrowing from the work of Douglas Rushkoff. Self-trust is key, and you must build a relationship with your intuition and your own sense of truth. Set boundaries not just with people, but with ideas and energies that no longer serve you. And boundaries are less about saying no to people, they're about claiming your space and what aligns with your spirit. So what's the path to empowerment for the empath? For empaths especially, freeing yourself from programming is about reclaiming your sensitivity as your greatest strength. Empaths are natural healers, connectors, and truth tellers. But in a world filled with manipulation, that sensitivity can be a burden. So when you start shifting from people pleasing to self-compassion, understand that your journey, your gifts, and your insights are precious. And this is how you begin to cross the Rubicon. And I want you to understand that each experience of manipulation or betrayal, even of narcissistic abuse, has the potential to become a great source of your strength. It's not about minimizing the pain, it's about alchemizing it into something more transformative. So as we close this, remember, true freedom comes from authenticity. And if any of this resonates with you, type transform in the comments or book a free session on my website, innermileage.com, or send me a message at nana@innermileage.com. Recognize that the more you are aligned with your true self, the less influence external forces have over you. And authenticity isn't something you achieve, it's something you claim. If this resonates, like, share, subscribe, and remember, there's absolutely no one like you. Keep shining, keep ascending, keep healing, keep reflecting.